Hi everyone, welcome to the new tutorial. I thought I'd do a series of anatomy tutorials. So basically we're going to do a bunch of different ones. So today I thought we might start with arms, and that'll consist of bicep, tricep, we'll do the supinators, we'll do all the just all the little muscles that come through the arm, and shoulders, things like that. So I thought that'd be really fun. And then next time we'll jump into, torso, we'll do the front, like chest and abs and the back. We'll do another tutorial on just legs, things like that. Now, I'm no medical expert in anatomy or anything like that, but I'm just going to show you everything that I've learned as an artist through the years, through my studies. So everything that I've picked up. Ever since I started working for Marvel especially, I really focused on anatomy a lot more because they really need that, obviously, with superheroes and doing all those kind of things. They wear tights and spandex and stuff, so the anatomy shows a lot in superheroes and things. So I've had to really refine all that kind of stuff over the years working with Marvel. But yeah, I'll basically show you everything that I've learnt along the way. Alright, let's get into it.
Now, just starting off with a bit of a sketch just of this guy. I'll use that as a base, but we're going to be focusing on the arm today, and I'll be breaking it up into sections just like this. And I'm going to start off with, we'll do biceps, we'll do triceps, shoulders, supinators, extensors, and flexors, maybe the traps as well. Probably even have the pec kind of coming in some places as well. But I think color coding these muscles might help a little bit, just to help understand each section. So let's go through it a bit more at different angles and see how it can all work. I want to show you what we could do with these two kind of cylinders that I've just sketched in. You can see their perspective by the way they turn and their contours there. We're going to turn this into an arm. So this is a really cool technique, and it's something worth thinking about. So if I just fade these back a little bit, we'll just fade them down. Now this will be our elbow. So let's just kind of treat that as an elbow for now. So something like that. Now you'll have this part of the arm, this big meaty part, come down here, right? And what I want you to do is wrap that tricep up. Kind of wrap it up over there like that, and then rip it around, and then we'll have it kind of coming off that arm. You see how that's kind of working there? Now that's the tricep, and then you'll have the middle. Think of this as the other part of that the arm in the middle, like the cylinder. That part. Let's just treat that like that. But then you're going to have the bicep kind of come off here, and then come down. And I'll just quickly put the shoulder off that. And then what you want to do is have this part of the cylinder that comes down there come back. You want to show it again here under the armpit nearly. So that's if that's the pec there, if this is the pec, and I'll just fill that in, you're going to have this nice little part of the muscle kind of showing there. Do you see that? And then I'll just start wrapping up over a muscle, kind of like here. We'll just get the forearm in. And then that meets back with our cylinder, which is going to be like the big meaty chunky part of the forearm like that. Okay, and then we'll just show another little part of the forearm on the back there, why not? And then we'll just put a bit of a fist. Let's just chuck a fist in really quick there. Now the tricep does break into two. It goes into two sections, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. But basically what I wanted to show here was that cylinder that is in the middle there. Let's just color it in like this. And this is like that big chunky part of the arm right through. Just think of that as like the bone, but it's not. It's actually meaty. And I kind of wanted to show you how that can show there like a diamond shape and then come through and show in the bottom there as well. Let me show you a better example. Alright, so you can kind of see what I was talking about there. So let's just say that you had the big cylinder part for your arm that goes right through, okay? Just like this. And let's just kind of have it at a bit of an angle like that, just a slight angle. And then your other one will go up here. That's your straight big. So it's just two sections, alright? Alright, so there's the sections there you can kind of see. Now if I just, I might just hide them because I don't need to show them right now. But if I put the muscles over the top of those, so you'll have your bicep kind of stop there and then come back up. And then I'll just draw that pec in. So you know that cylinder? So it's like that. It's almost like the muscles are trying to tuck over it. And then it creates this kind of diamond shapes on either side. So if we had the tricep kind of coming up over like that, right? And then have the elbow. So there's the elbow there. And we'll just put that point in for the elbow. But do you see how it's kind of making a bit of a diamond shape on this side? But do you see how it's kind of making a diamond shape through there, and then it's trying to squeeze back through, and then another diamond over this side, or a triangle shape and you can basically kind of see the muscles are like wrapping and pushing around it. I'll just put that tricep in. And do you see how it's like pointing that way and then down that way? That's a really good technique to kind of keep in mind whenever you're doing the inside of the arm. You can see on this side it's doing the same, and it's kind of like showing that little muscle there, and then it comes back up through there. And then you're just going to have your forearm actually come over and tuck. Like it actually tries to join down into the elbow, this part. So think of it like that muscle. And then you'll go up. There's usually a big meaty bit right there it's like quite meaty, and then it's mostly a solid back to that tube that I like to talk about. I'm going to colorize that tube to like a red, but yeah, you can see what I mean. You see how that's kind of like the base kind of section of it. And then we're going to get the, so that's kind of like the arm there. Think of it almost like the bone, but more like a solid chunk of meat that's going right through the arm. That's what I like to think of when I'm doing anatomy and structure. And then you'll have all this muscle kind of coming off that and then back around. That's kind of how I like to do my forearms on that from this angle. So like I said, all these muscles are kind of coming down and meeting at the elbow almost. But you won't be showing too much. Like when you're going to be doing a character, they're not going to look as ripped as this. This is quite extreme right now. But you got to remember there's going to be lots of flesh and skin on top. So you don't want it to look like they've got no fat on their body at all. Like you don't want them to be too ripped. It's a bit unrealistic. So this is a good visual kind of way to understand the inside of the bicep. It's one of those things that I used to struggle with a lot. So you can kind of see having that big structure through the middle that I like to put through, and then building the muscle over it as if the muscle is wrapping around it, and especially how these two kind of push up and into and around that muscle there. Have a look at these sculptures and things that I've found, and you'll really start to see that little muscle that comes through there, like diamond triangle shape. And then it also comes out the other end, just like I was showing you. And once you start to see these, you'll see it all the time. You'll never be able to unsee it. It's always there. This kind of, see that? They're like two triangles pointing towards each other all the time. Even this guy here, it's a little harder to see. This is a real photo, but you can see that diamond shape that I'm talking about there. Stretches across because you've got the bicep pushing down. You got the tricep coming in, that comes up and over, bicep comes down, but then you've got another one there. All right, now let's get a nice view from the back of the arm, and we'll look at the tricep. So let's do this tube thing again. I kind of like the way this technique works. You can draw that kind of big solid tube that'll go through and form, like that's the arm. And we're going to build on top of that. All right, I just had to get a bit of a feel for it. Now I'll just draw, so this is the shoulder up here. You can kind of see where I'm getting at now. So remember that tube there, and I want to have that tricep kind of really rip up and over, kind of like that, and then down and around it, like it's really, really wrapping around and hugging that area there. So now the tricep is a weird shape. It's kind of like, I don't even know how to describe it. It is like that. That's the kind of shape of a tricep if you had to, think about it. And it is split into two. So it's actually split into two right through the middle there. But I don't know why, but I don't really usually do that little middle split too much unless they're super, super ripped. But anyway, we'll keep going. And then I want that arm to come down into the elbow. So the elbow is right there. I'll even do like a little bit of a shadow there and then push that down. So that's where the elbow's going down. It's kind of pointing downwards like that. And you can even draw that black line right down to where that knuckle is at the base of your hand. And then you can actually draw like from the wrist, the supinator it's called, and it's just going to come up about there and then come down. So that usually pops out quite a bit from this angle. And then you'll just draw another muscle from that coming up and wrapping over and around. So you see how, I'll just erase that part there so you can see it clearly. You see how I've got that muscle there? So there's one that's wrapping up and over and down. And then you've got another one that's kind of wrapping down that way as well. It's a very weird angle, but I mainly wanted to talk about this tricep. So we'll just have the tricep do most of the work there, and then the bicep can just go in there if it wants. And the rest is just trying to make sure everything seems a bit more meaty. So I'll have a big kind of muscle kind of come out from under there. And then I want that bottom meat under the forearm kind of come out from there. And then meet back up with the bone. So again, let me make this easy for you. Because I know it's quite tricky to get through. There's a lot involved. But I want to make it clear that is that nice tube bit that comes through. That big solid area just pops out of those triceps like there. And then we'll have that. This is mostly bone. You can actually treat it kind of like this. So that's where that'll go down. And then, you'll see more kind of this solid part from the bottom out. So what if we were to rotate that a little bit more? So if I just have this angled out this way a little bit, maybe a bit more like that. And again, I'll do those kind of solid shapes, or I just find this really easy to understand when you do it like this, when you have these kind of big mass of whatever it is, whether you just think of it as a big chunk of meat or something, and it's just a solid object. And then I'll have the arm kind of bent down that way. But again, we're going to turn the arm this way so you can see the inside of the tricep a bit more. But again, see what I'm doing? I'm wrapping up over that tricep. So this is that weird tricep shape. And then you'll have it kind of the inside of it and then up. And remember, it breaks into two, so I'll do the split in the middle just so you can see it. And then I'll just put that shoulder over the top there so you can see what's happening. And then down, there's that elbow. And then we have that bend down. We'll have a bit of that forearm coming out. And you see how when I angle it and I stop and then I go straight down again to where the bone or the, that big object is. So, and then using my guide for that, I'm going straight up it again. That's the long part of the forearm, the bottom long part. And then again, we want to add a little bit more meat into the top half of that. And this is where it gets interesting. We're actually going to see a bit of that bicep now, and then have that kind of come up. Now I know this is a weird angle, but I'll show you what I'm doing. And then what you want to do is, you're going to actually have the muscle like hide that bone. So it actually comes up about there, and then that muscle goes up toward, in the middle of the bicep and the tricep there. So just like that, that'll be like that. And then all those muscles kind of, come down there, about there. So again, you see what I mean? I'm going to draw that big solid part that's popping right out of that. It comes down and it actually tucks almost into a V, and then it'll obviously come back out down the bottom there where all the solid, more solid parts are. That's kind of what I'm trying to get at there. You can kind of see the muscles wrapping over this big solid object that I like to put in. And I'll even show you on the inside here, you can see it again. Remember I showed you in that first example, we're going to draw it through here and you can see the muscles wrapping up and over around them. So this is the inside of the arm looking under the inside of the arm there. That's your armpit there. And this is the inner part of the tricep and bicep there. And then you can see the hand and the palm there. So I highly recommend using this guide at first when you're doing an arm. Again, you can kind of see what I'm doing with that tricep there. This is just a different angle I thought I might try. We'll come down and then we'll just have that elbow kind of bend there. But what I want to really show you this time is about the supinator. Now I know that's a weird name, but that's basically this one that's like the hinge between the arm, and it's a very tricky muscle. It took me a long time to understand this. So I'm going to try my best to help you with this and get your head around it a little bit better. So let me just draw the structure of the forearm first, the wrist. So the supinator is actually this one here that kind of lifts your arm. You know, when you're lifting and bending your arm, it's the muscle that's going to lift it and do all the work. So especially when you're lifting from this angle. So the supinator is basically this one here. I'll just show you how it looks. It's kind of like a really weird shape that goes right through the forearm. It comes up and then it'll actually kind of go all the way up there. And it acts as like the muscle between your arms, and it's the one that's between the bend. And when you're raising your arm up, it kind of pulls itself. It's the one that uses all that kind of muscle there. So that's kind of how you would draw it at that angle. And it's got this other muscle, like, and there's actually a few of these that are kind of like this, you know. It's got that one there, and you know there's actually a couple more or one more, however you're flexing your arm, that might be a bit thinner as it goes up further. But it's a very interesting muscle. So let's draw it at like more of a relaxed angle, like from the side as well, so we can see it a bit clearer. But then you'll draw the forearm coming up, and then have this kind of up over, and it's kind of comes back in. Sorry, I just had to fix a little bit of a proportion issue there. There we go. So basically I'm going to have it come up and over, and it actually kind of twists around, and then it comes back up again and around. See that? See how it comes up and around? And then you'll have your tricep kind of, you know, move around that. Everything kind of flows a little bit. And then again, you'll have another one of these pop up and around, or come down and then over. So you can actually have that pop out there and then wrap it back over the wrist or the arm completely. Like we can even pretend that it's, you know, going up, but it gets thinner as it goes down towards here. So keep that in mind. It gets a lot thinner there. And then you can have a couple of others that come down here. Now this is extreme. Remember what I said, this is quite an extreme version. But hopefully this will help you understand a little bit more how it works. But again, let's just color it in so it's a little easier to kind of see it. Here's just another quick example. I just thought I'd show you from another angle. But I actually want to show you, maybe we'll do more of a front on one, I think, where it's kind of bending from the front. I'll just finish this really quick. But basically at this angle, it reefs back up again. It goes like down. You might even have a thicker bit there for a shadow. And it actually wraps back up and over. It's kind of strange like that. But yeah, that's kind of how it works. Let me color that in as well. As it goes up here as well, remember it's going to go up in between the bicep and tricep. But you can have little creases here where the arm bends. Just a tiny little crease, not much. Let me just colorize that in again. But yeah, you see how that works. It kind of, it really lifts the arm up. You can see it's all attached here, and it's helping our arm kind of lift. You can have a look at any kind of comic cover really, and you'll start to see these supinators all through all the artwork that you'll find. You know, just have a good look, and then you won't be able to unsee it. Once you get a feel for it, and you get a sense of, you know, where they are, you'll just start to see them in everything really. See, that flash one's a good example. Kind of goes up through there, and you can even see the secondary ones that are going through there as well. Same here. You see how they kind of wrap around, and I'll just hide that so you can see the goblin one there. You see that? You can see him in everything. Let's talk about the inner bicep a little bit more. There we go. And notice that I sometimes actually make this one just a little longer than that one. Usually that's just kind of the case with our arms, but the forearm usually is a bit longer, and that one's a bit shorter. Let's start with, well, I always like to kind of start with an elbow. You know, that's just like, it's nice to just put that joint in. So let's just draw that. Now, let's try and draw the bottom, the base of the forearm. I want to kind of explain that a little bit. So that'll kind of like be a little bit like this. Like you can just do like a big mass at the bottom, and then the elbow can just pop out the bottom of it, okay? So then that can curl back up And it's almost like a big teardrop kind of shape, you know. You can have it kind of come back up there, have another part of the forearm maybe pop out and then show just a little bit, and then up and around, and then back up again. And then we'll have the wrist right there. We'll also need to show the back of the forearm coming up and out. But as the arm goes up, we definitely get thinner into the wrist. Just look at your arm and you'll see that. And now we want to do the bicep. You can actually basically show just a little bit of that tube underneath. You can kind of have that here and then have your bicep kind of pop out and over. And your biceps, you know, got that nice shape. It's your pretty typical kind of shape. You can do it as just a big, like this kind of shape. That's fine, just like an oval. That works. But if you want to get real technical, you can actually go more like that. And then I like to kind of have a little bit of a shadow or an indent kind of come up and be about there like that. That's kind of how I do it. It kind of connects about here anyway. You'll have a little bit of a muscle there, but then you'll have your triceps way underneath the whole arm. But at this angle, they're kind of more, it's a little hidden. So let's just do that. And again, here I can actually show more of that mass underneath. You know, my blue guide is showing through under that bicep there. And then we'll just have the pec just comes up and curls over the bicep. Shoulder can be there just like that. There we go. Just had to fix up a couple of things there. There we go. But again, I just want to show you that part underneath. We're going to have that kind of, you know, it'll show there and there. But that's your solid kind of, that guide that I showed you. Those are the hard parts of your arm, like near bone. You know, they could be real solid and real hard. Whereas anything else is meat and soft, you know. And that's just a really good understanding and a good way to kind of picture that, is to do it like that. So I'm going to draw it now just more stretched out. I want to see what we can get with that kind of bicep. I want to show you how it works. So again, this is how I would do it. I would actually lighten that up. So this could be the part where, you know, the solid part meets underneath like that. Now I kind of like how this part here kind of, you know, comes through just under the bicep and it stretches out. Now again, when you draw like your final character, you won't be drawing all of these little details. See how I've got too much going on in here? I wouldn't do that. This would probably be smoothed out a fair bit. So if I was going to clean this up for, you know, presentation, I'd probably have it a bit more like this. Definitely be getting rid of that. I'd keep that. So I'd basically have the bicep come down, a little nick that comes out there. And then I might also have just a little one there to resemble where that would have went. I would remove all this and I'd probably just have one like that. So it resembles that it's coming out. Let me hide those colors. It's a bit easier to see now. I'd probably remove all of that and maybe just also have another little nick that goes in like that. This is how I would do it. And up here under the bicep, I would actually have the bicep come down and then I would have it, so I'd have it quite dark as it gets up under the armpit. This is just how I would ink it. And darker there as it gets under. And then I'd have that little muscle just kind of stop like that. And that looks quite nice. That's how I would probably approach this if I was going to, yeah, render it and do the outlines on this character. I'd probably even remove half of that bicep muscle there, just like that. You see that? And then have it just kind of come down and stop there as a little nick in the muscle. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. And remember that tendon just here on the front of the arm there, that little tendon. I'd probably do that. You can actually have it in twos if you want, probably like that. And that's good. That's always usually good to add. Another thing that I really thought I should mention, which I nearly skimmed over, is just the shoulder, how it wraps over the bicep like this. It's really cool actually. So it actually comes up and over and around like this, all the way around your arm. So it goes up and over and wraps over and around the back of the bicep kind of thing. That's where that'll all go, even up there. And then it also flows into the chest. So the chest actually comes down like this, and if that's under the pec there, so that's under the pec, and yeah, it all kind of all wraps up and over and around. So always remember that as well. It's the same with up here. You can actually see it and see how it's all kind of wrapping up and around the chest and the pec there. All right, I just want to try something for the finale. Let's do like a big finale on an arm. So I have the arm as the focus. All right, I want to do like a Batman. So let me just try and come up with a bit of a pose that I think might work for an arm. If I have it bending up and around like this, I want to have some energy in there. All right, I've got a bit of a rough for my Batman. I just really want to, this arm can be like the feature, so I'm just going to try and do a bit of rough inks, just mucking around down the tricep, just like that. And you see what I'm doing as I go. I'm actually trying to add a bit of stylization to it. So, exaggeration almost. So a sharp edge point kind of there, not too sharp though. I don't want it to look silly. Just enough, and then I'll come down, and I might actually straighten that out into where the arm comes out. That chunky bone, and then it goes out into the elbow. I might do that. And for the elbow, I'll actually have like a nice sharp edge, just like that. And I'm going to go quite bold with these lines. And bicep could be, yeah, I like the shape of that, so that's fine. Now this is quite interesting here. So see where the bicep stops? Remember that it can kind of dip in there. But we want to have the supinator. Like this one really showcases that supinator that wraps up and over and around the arm. So up and around there, and I might have it drop. It's kind of a weird shape. It's such a bizarre shape. But it kind of goes up like that, like really like holds that arm together. All right. And then we'll have another big, I want to have a big muscle kind of coming out from under it. Actually, I might actually make this really dark right there, really dark. And then we'll have another muscle that comes up and over and wraps up over the arm. All right, so there's the wrist coming down, and then I'll have the inner, that's the inner part of his forearm, so hiding under. It's probably popping out a little too much. So let's just bring it in a bit more. I'm going to make him super burly, so pretty tough looking. Now we can have that arm kind of come right down, and then even have a dip where the knuckle is. There's like a bit of a knuckle, not a knuckle. What do you call it? It's just a bone that pokes out the back there. And then we'll bring the back of this bits of meat in that arm, and then have that kind of stop there. And I think that will work all right. So there we go, and that's kind of how I would probably do it. I might just adjust this supinator a bit more. There we go, and we'll just have that tricep connect there. And I can even get, if I just erase that little part there, I can even get that kind of muscle looking like it tucks up under and through the tricep. Yeah, there we go, perfect. So that's really gonna, it's what this whole picture is really about. I'm not just doing any picture. I really want to try and focus on that forearm, just get these muscles going. Alright, there we go. I'll better not do too much more because I'm running out of time. Having a bit of fun with it. So, yeah, there we go. Just for the arm. So I thought this might work well for a bit of an example when using it with art, you know, going in and actually doing something with it. Let me just quickly show you again, and we're going to break up these sections. So there we go. Yeah, you can kind of really get a good sense of where these muscles all belong now, now that you can see them all color-coded and separate. So we've got the shoulders, triceps, biceps, supinator, we've got the flexors up the back there, and you've just got the, you know, the big extensors there and up the, you know, through the wrist, forearm. Just gives you a clearer look. Alright, that's it for this tutorial. All done. I'm going to be doing plenty more of these tutorials, so don't worry. We're going to get to the, you know, the chest, the abs, back. We're going to do legs. I'll do everything. Neck muscles. These kind of tutorials can just keep coming, so that's good. I'm really glad we're touching on anatomy and like the real technical side of anatomy, by the way. It's not just like structure and, you know, my usual stuff. I really want to break it down for you and show you some tips on how to actually understand these muscle groups and, you know, at different angles and things like that. So it should be a lot of fun, and yeah, I hope you got something out of this. I just realized as well I didn't actually really do any female kind of proportions, which sucks. I really should have touched on that a little bit more. But what we'll do is I might actually do we could just do another anatomy tutorial, and I'll focus way more on the women side of things, because they're quite different. The muscle groups are the same, but just less pronounced and, you know, a little smoother and things like that. So I will touch on that soon. We'll do another one of those down the track. Alright, thanks for watching, everyone. I appreciate your support. You're all awesome. And I'll be doing a lot more of these anatomy tutorials. Okay. Alright, I'll see you later. Bye.